This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
And the concussions have been right around 50 student athletes having concussions diagnosed and being seen by physicians during the school year.
Concussions in football, it almost seems that you can't mention one word without the other. New studies are coming out showing that more former football players are suffering brain damage. What is being done to make the game safer for kids? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC7 at 7. We'll have more on the link between concussions and football later on. But first, our top 7 stories at 7, and we begin tonight with a major terrorist attack in Barcelona, Spain. At least 13 people are dead and more than 100 are injured. 15 are in serious condition after a vehicle plowed into tourists on a busy street. ISIS has claimed responsibility. We'll have more on this story coming up in our primetime headlines. You can imagine a lot of questions this week from kids about what happened in Charlottesville. School officials in Sarasota County say teachers are being told if questions arise to guide students through issues of race, hate, and anger in our history. Teachers are also telling students to fact-check their sources when it comes to information and be open-minded to the opinions of others.
Wherever our kids are consuming their media, we need to help them identify facts and how to find appropriate sources for them to investigate these different situations and make meaning for themselves.
Bennett says teachers can apply Charlottesville to other classroom curriculums when it comes up. We haven't seen President Trump since the news conference heard around the world the other day, but Governor Rick Scott has. Scott had lunch with Trump at his golf club in New Jersey today. They discussed the president's commitment to partner with Florida on repairs to the federally operated Herbert Hoover Dike at Lake Okeechobee. No word if they talked about the events of this week. Up the road in Tampa, the county has been going through fits and starts about what to do with the Confederate memorial outside the Hillsborough County Courthouse. Yesterday, the commission voted the memorial can be moved, but only if private money is raised to do so. Former Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach Tony Dungy challenged all the professional sports teams in Tampa to help pay, and they responded. The Bucs, the Lightning, and the Rays all chipped in, as did the former owner of the Tampa Bay Storm, who donated $50,000. $140,000 was needed. More than that was raised. In the past 3 days, 3 students have been hit by vehicles on their way to and from school here on the Suncoast. The latest accident left a Sarasota teenager hospitalized. Florida Highway Patrol is warning drivers to slow down and students to look both ways. 34,000 students in Sarasota County are walking, biking, driving, or being dropped off at school every day. Students may not feel that they are in danger, but State Trooper Ken Watson is asking for both students and drivers to stay alert.
One of the paramount reasons we want to reach out to kids is since everyone is going to work and the kids are riding their bicycles to school, so we want to make sure that they're maintaining that good situational awareness. We want to make sure that they're wearing their helmets and that they're looking both ways.
Watson is asking students to get off their bikes when crossing the road and to always cross at a safe spot. Drivers, pay attention in the morning and then again between 2 and 4 o'clock when kids are getting out of school. A top official with the Florida Highway Patrol who told troopers they aren't writing enough speeding tickets is resigning. Major Mark Welch turned in his resignation letter today. Welch had served the state for more than 35 years. It was reported Welch told troopers under his command the patrol wants to see 2 citations each hour. The Florida Highway Patrol is now reminding all supervisors that quotas are not allowed. And finally, a shout out to the Sarasota Police. The International Association of Chiefs of Police has chosen the Sarasota PD for the 2017 Leadership in Human and Civil Rights Award. The department will also be awarded the Leadership in Law Enforcement Volunteer Program Award. Chief DePino will be traveling to Philadelphia in October to accept. And Bob, we wish them all congratulations.
Absolutely. Congratulations to them. And looks like showers and storms around earlier have since faded, Alan. We had some rain around. It was pretty heavy at times, up to 2 inches in some areas. But that is all for the most part since moved on from the coast. A different story, though, in the inland areas. Get a look at the time lapse of the Van Wezel webcam showing generally fair conditions out there right now, and looks like it should stay that way for the most part. I mentioned the rain inland. Arcadia getting some pretty heavy rain, some frequent lightning strikes as well. as it's drifting to the west at around 10 miles an hour. So that could be moving into Northport in about an hour and a half from now, 2 hours. We'll keep a slight chance for showers in the mix all the way up and through. Looks like 11 o'clock tonight, then things should calm down. A little light rain near Parrish and Terracea down south. From Venice all the way to Inglewood, it's quiet now, just a few residual clouds around. Well, in the tropics, we have a newly formed tropical storm. We've been watching this area east of the Caribbean, right there in the center part of your screen. That is Harvey. Harvey is going to be a tropical storm for its lifetime, it looks like, as it is going to encounter some shear in the Caribbean. So it's not going to be an intense storm, but it will bring some heavy rain and some gusty winds to the central portion of the islands there. And then it stays well to the south of Florida, eventually emerging on hitting into Belize and possibly the Yucatan Peninsula in about 5 days from now. Well, the moisture has returned, but just temporarily. We have some dry air over the Bahamas, which will eventually swing our way tomorrow afternoon, and looks like tomorrow through Saturday. It'll dry us out again. So we had a little bit of taste of the afternoon storms today. They'll go away. They'll come back strong, though, on Sunday. More on that in a little bit.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, more and more NFL players are retiring before they reach their prime to avoid brain trauma. We'll hear from former NFL player, a high school athletic director, and a doctor on how to make the game safer. We'll be right back.
Are you a soccer mom or dad? Regardless of their age or experience level, when your kids play soccer or any other sport, there's one person on the sideline who is key to help recognize and seek medical care for sports-related concussion. It's you. You need to know the signs and symptoms of concussion, and you need to act if you think your child has been injured. Remember, when in doubt, sit them out. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/concussion. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004.
When you want to get away from it all, to a place where you can do everything, or nothing at all, surrounded by natural beauty and all the modern amenities you might desire, then you'll want to be here at the Wanna Be Inn on the beautiful shores of Manasota Key, Florida. To plan your escape, log on to wannabein.com.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-777-1366 or go to Mesobook.com.
This is an important medical announcement. Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to uncontrollable bleeding and even death. If you've been prescribed one of these drugs and have experienced these dangerous side effects, you may be entitled to substantial compensation. Studies show that Pradaxa can cause more heart attacks than warfarin, and other countries have already issued safety warnings against this drug. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. The call is confidential. There's no cost, and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to Pradaxa victims, and thousands of Xarelto victims are filing their legal cases. Call the Drug Watch hotline. If you or a loved one used Xarelto or Pradaxa and experienced uncontrollable bleeding, brain hemorrhage, or even death, you must call now.
Call 800-793-6055. 800-793-6055.
ABC7 News at 7, weeknights.
Across the Suncoast, high school football teams are back on the field getting ready for their first games, but this year it's a little bit different. For years we have been hearing about the impact repeated concussions have had on former NFL players. A new report shows 99% of the brains of deceased NFL players studied showed signs of what's called CTE. So what does that mean for high school players? Adam Cellini has the story.
Cain Pinkney's first concussion was a blindside.
It was a late hit during the game. I didn't see it coming.
As the Booker High School two-way lineman laid unconscious, college football aspirations descended into a shadow of doubt.
And it knocked me out. I hit the ground. I didn't wake up. I was out for A little minute. It was about a couple minutes.
After the last school bell rings, concussions loom large for high schoolers involved in extracurricular sports. Over the past 5 years, there have been nearly 600 among athletes in our area, 300 for Manatee County, and in Sarasota County, just 4 less over the same time period. Kevin Eichhorn oversees all high school athletic trainers in Sarasota County for Agility Physical Therapy.
For the past 5 years, they've been pretty consistent. Like I was saying, the concussions have been right around 50 student athletes.
In Sarasota County, Eichhorn noticed a bump in concussion totals starting in 2013. The same year, more focus was put on educating players and parents.
They actually started recognizing what signs and symptoms of a concussion was, and they were reporting them more at a higher rate.
The Florida High School Athletic Association has passed down protocols in recent years like baseline cognitive exams all athletes are required to take every 2 years.
It really confuses the kids on purpose. It gives them a bunch of squiggly lines that they have to recognize at several points throughout the test. They have to count numbers backwards.
If an athlete thinks they've had a concussion, then gets cleared by a doctor, they retake that test as part of an 8-step return to play protocol.
It's not a measure of their intelligence, which I always try to explain to them first. It's just to see how your brain functions when you're given that specific information.
Agility's records show concussions can happen in any sport, even cheerleading. But football is far and above the highest risk, making up 60% of those 5-year totals. Scientists believe they've linked the sport to permanent brain damage at the professional level, recently identifying the brain disease CTE in 110 out of 111 retired NFL players. That's why Coach John Peacock in Venice High School spent around $30,000 on new football helmets this season with an extra innovative shell for practices.
You know, with all the concussion stuff going around, we just felt like we needed to try to get ahead of the game.
Designed by a former NFL player, the ProTech is supposed to absorb and dissipate energy from helmet-to-helmet contact.
The concept behind the whole idea is, you know, you get extra pad on top of your current helmet, and then it also allows for a ricochet effect on helmet-to-helmet contact.
It's nice because you don't have to worry about headaches after practice and all that. You don't have to worry about getting a concussion in practice, so you can't play in the game.
Eichhorn, however, warns no helmet technology will ever be able to stop concussions.
With the rapid stop of the body as it moves, the brain is going to kind of slosh inside the skull, and that's what causes a concussion. You can minimize skull fractures, but you really have a hard time minimizing a concussion.
After strenuous mental rehab, Pinckney is returning to the gridiron this fall, not letting scientific studies or fear keep him from the game he loves. In July, the Journal of the American Medical Association published a study that found no long-term cognitive issues among hundreds of high school football players from Wisconsin. However, these were players who came up in the 1950s, and coaches agree more research needs to be done on modern high school athletics. In the newsroom, Adam Cellini, ABC7, your Suncoast News.
Coming up, a former NFL player, a high school athletic director, and a neurologist huddle on the trapezoid.
If you're only hungry for a slice of apple pie, why buy the whole pie? And you certainly wouldn't want to pay for an all-you-can-eat buffet. So if you don't use your cell phone that much, why get charged for a plan that's too big, or even an unlimited plan? Luckily, there's still a wireless company that shares your values. Welcome to Consumer Cellular. Our average customer pays about $25 a month for everything they need. Many pay even less, as plans start at just $10 a month. You'll get a straightforward bill that's easy to understand, with no surprises, and all the attention you deserve from our friendly customer service team. No wonder Consumer Cellular has received J.D. Power Awards for highest customer service. Plus, if you're an AARP member, you'll receive special discounts. It's easy to switch. You can even keep your phone and your number. And now, for a limited time, get a $20 credit on any new line of service. Call 1-800-468-1930. Go to consumercellular.com or visit a Target store today.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential. There's no cost and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the barred IVC filters. Call the IVC filter hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
No theater lover's bucket list is complete without the classic black comedy Arsenic and Old Lace. Two adorable old ladies who just happen to poison their tenants and bury them in their basement. Fun and farcical, this hilarious play is heating up the summer at the Players Center from August 9th through the 20th. Call 365-2494 or visit us at theplayers.org. You'll die laughing when you see Arsenic and Old Lace.
Welcome back. Have the stories about professional football players and brain damage made you rethink whether your kid should play? The high school football season is about to begin across the Suncoast, but in just the last few months we have seen a number of NFL players in their prime, some just starting their pro careers, leave the game, not because they're already showing signs of CTE, but because they don't want to face the risk. And joining us for more is Henry Lawrence, a three-time Super Bowl champion with the Oakland Raiders, Pete Dombrowski, the City of Venice's Director of Athletics, and Dr. Dean Sutherland, a neurologist at Sarasota Memorial Hospital. Henry, when you have seen these stories, what goes through your mind? You know, you spent a long time in the NFL. Do you have any concerns about yourself?
I do. Most of the guys do, and along the way, you know, as the more you find out about some of the things that's happening with guys, the more you understand that you're not immune to it. And I've learned that over the last few years on things that have occurred, that's been happening, and I realized that none of us are immune except certain players that are not doing any real serious contact. But as a lineman playing, I basically had made contact every play. And even as not being a lineman on special teams, I can remember, now looking back at it, there were several concussions involved, but back then, you know, it was one of these things, you gotta be a man, and you get a little shaked up, and what they'll do is break the smelling sauce and put it, and you get back and say, okay, how many fingers? You say 3, okay, he's ready. So it wasn't taken that serious, but I've also learned that a lot of information was already known, it just was not revealed to players and other people that were involved. Yes, I am concerned, and all of the guys are.
Doctor, these are stories that really have emerged, and we often hear, that study that 99% of the players examined after they passed away showed signs of this. Really, you can understand why a lot of players who are just entering the NFL or been in the league a few years are leaving early.
Absolutely, Al. You know, we should mention that the study that was done, there were 200 players that were looked at. Now, those were brains that were taken from players whose family had been concerned about their behavior and then donated their bodies to science, you know, to see what was going on with them. So it was kind of a select group. It wasn't all players, but still 99% of those NFL players having damage, and that is concerning.
You know, there was one case involving a young man who was in his 20s, played for the NFL, and died tragically of causes unrelated to playing in the NFL. But when they studied his brain, they found also signs of CTE. That's a pro player who was in his 20s.
That's right. And we actually, in this study, there was one high school player, I think, who had CTE signs as an adult. And then there were a lot of college players that were in there also, and about 75% of those brains showed CTE.
Right, and I want to get into more of that in our next segment, but Pete, in Venice, what's been the impact of this? I mean, we saw the practice helmets there, but are you seeing fewer kids coming out for high school football?
No, not at this time. I think most of it is having the ability to purchase the equipment that you can get to keep a child safe. And once those parents know that we're getting the best equipment we can to avoid any injury, shoulder pads, helmets, whatever we need to get, I haven't seen. We have about 150 student athletes playing football right now, and we're lucky that Coach Peacock had found those padded helmets, that we have good coaches to teach good technique. I think that's very important, teaching the fundamentals and good technique to try to avoid this. Last year we had, I think, 2 concussions out of the freshman, JV, and varsity level for football players.
Right, and I want to get more into those practice helmets in just a moment, but we have to take a bit of a break here, and we'll have more on head injuries in high school football right after we check our first alert weather, so stay with us.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate
or shop at Goodwill,
I'm creating a job.
I am Goodwill, yeah, yeah.
This is important news for women who were administered chemotherapy intravenously for breast cancer and then suffered permanent hair loss. The chemotherapy drug Taxotere has been linked to permanent alopecia or permanent hair loss. Some women administered the breast cancer chemotherapy drug Taxotere have suffered from permanent hair loss on scalp, eyebrows, and eyelashes. The FDA has urged doctors and the manufacturer to warn women administered Taxotere of the risk of permanent hair loss. If you or a loved one were administered chemotherapy intravenously for breast cancer and suffered permanent hair loss, you may have a right to a cash award and medical expenses. If you suffered permanent hair loss after chemotherapy for breast cancer, call the law offices of Davis & Crump at the number below right now to find out if you are eligible for a cash award and medical expenses. Call the law offices of Davis & Crump right now. Our first consultation is free, and we don't get paid unless you get paid. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
You studied hard, went to college, and achieved your dream, but it turned into a financial nightmare. If you have federal student loans and you'd like to reduce your payments, get more time, or have your loans completely eliminated, then we have good news. With one call to Student Loan Relief Services, you can find support and guidance. We've already helped thousands of people, and we can help you too. If you have $10,000 or more in federal student loans, you can qualify for payment extensions, payment reductions, or you may qualify to have your federal student loan completely forgiven. Call Student Loan Relief Services now to find out about your options. Take control of your finances and get out from under this burden. One of our student loan experts has the answers to your questions and great solutions to ease your financial burden. We're here for you. Call Student Loan Relief Services now.
Call 800-759-0203, 800-759-0203.
Our conversation on concussions in football continues in a moment, right after we get a check on the forecast. First alert, meteorologist, Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. We are looking at the Van Wezel webcam. You'll see once in a while we had some sprinkles earlier, a few showers and some heavy rain in some areas of Sarasota, over 2 inches reported near Palm Air. And then skies kind of shut down a little bit. Now some more showers are starting to pop up in Arcadia. Well, we got a lot going on right now. A return of moisture bringing us some showers earlier today and storms. Now some dry air over the Bahamas. You can see how skies are clear right there. That will be rotating in our direction. You can see all that dry air on the scale. It's fairly extreme right now, and it's rotating right into South Florida tomorrow, and it's spreading to our area tomorrow afternoon. That will shut down our normal afternoon and evening thunderstorms. Although we had a few today, there'll be less tomorrow. There'll still be a few around tomorrow, but not as many as we saw today. And you can see a lot of heavy rainfall into southeast Polk County, also stretching down into Highlands County, Hardy and DeSoto counties. A shower or two right there, now spreading off toward Northport. And you're going to see a little bit more of this moving in this direction over the next hour or so. So although the rain was around earlier, now it's coming back as a result of this storm, which at one point had cloud tops up to about 50,000 feet. And that is now dropping down to 30,000 foot level, which means it is weakening, obviously. Some light rain still lingering over parts of Manatee County. Not everyone got in the rainfall. You can see most of the western portion of Hardy County didn't get any rainfall. Near Osprey was quiet. Venice split in half there. Some of it did, some of it didn't. And then right there along University Park near the UTC and right along I-75 stretching over to Palm Air, nearing 2 inches. Now, these are estimates, not actuals. At the airport, estimating at 3/10 of an inch, but the airport actually had just over a half inch, so maybe underplaying that a little bit on the Doppler radar. 86 degrees, the current temperature. We have some high clouds around, and the heat index is at 96. The pressure 30.04 inches. High today was warm, not record-breaking, but still 93, 97 the record, and there it is, over a half inch reported at the Sarasota Braden Airport. Still below average, nearing 3 inches right now. The forecast for Friday looks good. We'll see sunshine. A few coastal showers are possible in the morning, not many at all. And then in the afternoon, the rain chance is only at around 30%. It drops down to 20% on Saturday, and that's due to the fact that we're going to see that dry air in place. Well, there's nothing dry about this. This is our 8th named storm of the season. This is Harvey. Harvey is expected to stay a tropical storm through its life cycle as it makes its way toward the Yucatan Peninsula. The one behind it we have to watch. This one is looking rather impressive already here. Just in the last satellite imagery, it has a 60% chance of developing as it makes its way off toward the west-northwest. Harvey, top winds at 40, expected to move off to the west over the next few days. And in the Caribbean, there's some pretty big shear going on, so we don't expect it to strengthen into anything significant and then move off toward Belize and the Yucatan Peninsula. Elsewhere, though, it's this one that we're going to keep a close watch on here in Florida. For this matter, this one's going to continue on a westerly course. Obviously, all the models are in agreement with that. But this one is the one, disturbance number 2, which could become Irma in the next couple of days. And notice the spread here. This is 5 days. This is around Tuesday of next week. Somewhere in this vicinity, we could possibly have some sort of tropical storm, maybe a tropical depression. Right now, the forecast models are not all that intense with that storm. Light chop on the bays and inland waters. Seas will be running less than 2 feet. Tides on your screen. Sunset coming just after 8 o'clock. Sunrise at 7:02. Evening showers are still in the mix, scattered about through up until about 11 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow, 30% chance of rain, a high of 91. The extended forecast calling for drier weather on Saturday. And then it really shoots up on Sunday, late Sunday afternoon and evening, staying around on Monday. Temperatures right around 90. Alan will be back with his guests right after this. Stick around.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-685-6422, 800-685-6422.
It's Lincoln's summer sales event here at Alex Karras Lincoln. Drive a brand new 2017 Lincoln MKX Sport Utility for $349 per month, or Lincoln's flagship, the 2017 Continental, for $449 per month. We have a great selection of certified pre-owned Lincolns. These vehicles have warranties up to 100,000 miles and come with complimentary roadside assistance. Alex Karras Lincoln, affordable luxury, winner of the prestigious 2015 President's Award, serving Florida's Sun Coast since 1978. We're located 2 miles north of the Sarasota Bradenton Airport on US 41.
Every week on Animal Outtakes, it's a new adventure. From meeting curious lemurs to feeding big cats and hosing down rhinos, there's never a dull moment. And sometimes these amazing animals chime in. Tune in to Animal Outtakes to find out what they have to say. Watch Animal Outtakes every week on ABC7.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Welcome back. We are just a week away from the start of the high school football season, but there's increasing concern about the long-term impact of playing football, highlighted by the sudden retirements of several NFL players in their prime. And joining us for more is Henry Lawrence, a three-time Super Bowl champion with the Oakland Raiders, Pete Dombrowski, the City of Venice's Director of Athletics, and Dr. Dean Sutherland, a neurologist at Sarasota Memorial Hospital. Henry, what do you make of those sudden retirements of players just coming into the NFL and then retiring, saying that they don't want to put themselves at risk?
That's a tough question to answer, because these guys are making decisions. These are personal decisions that they're making. The other part of it is that, and it could be one of being very smart, because of the fact that many of these players coming in now, they're making so much money, and if they're getting so much more assistance with handling and managing it and directing and redirecting it, that they don't have to play a long time to become financially secure. And I think, I would assume that that is what many of them are doing. And it would make sense, knowing what is happening with that.
You know, some of the studies that we see are out there are just incredible. We talked about one of them. Out of 202 deceased football players, former professional football players, many of them showed signs of CTE, but the studies also show that 110 out of 111 NFL players showed CTE, but they also found 3 of the 14 high school football players and 48 of the 53 college players also showed early signs of CTE. That's incredible.
That's right. It's shocking. It's kind of scary. But also, you have to remember, as we said, that this study was done on people who were not doing well and they died and their families were concerned. So one of the estimates is that what if you were to, say, lower it from 99% down to 10%? That's still a significant number of high school and college and football players in the NFL who are going to wind up being at risk for CTE. So I think that it is something that we have to be concerned about. You have to protect your body, and the question is, are you going to pull your kids out of...
We showed in Adam's story, and Pete talked about a little bit the protective coverings that they're using in Venice to basically deflect the impact in practice. Number one, do you think that's effective? And number two, they're using it in practice but not in the games.
I think it's a great idea. There's no doubt they're going to get extra protection from having that extra protection in practice and not in the games. I think it's very helpful. But as the trainer was saying earlier on the earlier segment, one of the things we know does cause also concussions is just impact on the body. And anytime the brain gets sloshed around because of any sort of rotational injury, that can also cause a concussion and brain injury.
So Pete, how are you teaching young football players differently now than you used to in terms of ways to avoid that head-to-head contact?
I think we're getting better coaches, more knowledgeable coaches who have played college, NFL. Larry Shannon, who's with us, was with the Oakland Raiders and the Miami Dolphins, and they're getting the understanding. Plus, we get a lot from the FHSAA on certain things we can and cannot do. But I think having experienced coaches and teaching the correct fundamentals, keeping your head up, not just piling in like we did in the old days, right? That's, I think, very important part.
Do you get more questions from parents?
Not really, no. I mean, they understand that when there's a concussion, he's removed from the field, he's got to see a doctor, he has to go through a certain amount of time before he's returned to the field. The whole thing is there, when a parent gives you their child, you have to protect him at all costs. It becomes like your child, so you're going to do what you have to do.
I don't know if there's any way to basically come up with statistics for this, but doctor, I mean, you have a couple of sons. You really dissuaded them from playing football.
That's right.
Same here. I'm wondering how many parents out there are doing the same.
I don't know what the numbers are. As Henry was saying, we've known for quite some time that there were problems probably with repeated head trauma in football in particular causing CTE, but just the data wasn't really known and the studies weren't out there. But this study that just came out in July is such an eye-opener that I think that people are probably going to rethink this. I'm a former football player myself and from high school, but as you said, I knew about the data from CTE and I was concerned about my own sons.
So Henry, and I don't know if you have any sons yourself,
Yes.
But if you do, would you allow them to play football?
I do, and oldest son, I allowed him, he played flag. And then he started playing basketball, put him in basketball camps, and he actually ended up becoming Mr. Florida basketball. My other two sons, they just graduated from college, twins. They didn't play. I didn't push them to play either. I've always been, I've always advertised, and when I talk to schools and parents, that I believe that parents should convince their kids, insist that they play flag football as long as there's a flag football opportunity. But it has gotten pretty intense, and sometimes the parents can be the problem because they want their kid to play and they want them to go to the NFL. But I've always felt, and I've known for a fact, that at the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, kids are more vulnerable than anybody. Their brains are forming, their joints are forming, their growth plates. So there are many things that can happen, and it do happen. But no one has paid attention to that for a long time. Now they are. All of those things, I think, play a part.
There's so much discussion about how this issue is threatening the NFL. Henry, from your perspective, how likely is it that they are going to make changes to the game to make these kinds of head-to-head impacts and other ways you get concussions less likely?
Well, I would say to them, good luck. I mean, they have made some progress, but I really, football is a contact sport. And basically, I don't feel that you can play the game without having contact. And there are some people that are intensely intense. And I feel that I was one of those people. And there's no way I can go in, I'm gonna hit the guy, and I'm gonna pull up. I can foresee guys actually having additional injury, especially defensive players. If you're going in and you get to a point where you're finna make a hit, and the rule is saying you got to not allow your head to hit that player, and you consciously move your head, guy could break his neck. I mean, so there's so many things that can happen on both sides. I don't know how you can fix that, but football is a contact sport.
And Pete, the discussion has been that you are teaching kids how to tackle and play differently now than in Henry's time. But Henry makes a good point. If you're avoiding head-to-head contact, you're opening up those kids for different kinds of injuries.
He's right. And also today's athletes are a little faster, not taking anything away from you.
Excuse me?
They're a little faster, a little stronger. I mean, rules have been implemented, protecting quarterbacks, certain hits that you can't make. So, yeah, it's just, but the game of football is just part of America. I mean, everywhere we look at it, people love it. They pack stadiums to see it. It brings towns together, communities together. It makes a school what a school is. And I just don't see it changing. I mean, I agree with him with younger kids being 6 years old. Are they ready for tackle? No. My son waited till he was in about 6th grade before he drove me nuts and he played.
Right.
But, I think if it's flag football tackle, as long as the child's participating at an early age and being active, that's
right.
perfect.
And Doctor, there was a major motion picture last year about this, about the physician that really kind of brought this to the surface. Do you think football can ever be made safer, that the issue that we're having with CTE is not going to, if not go away, lessen?
I think it already has been made safer from some of the rules that are implemented about head-to-head contact, excessive force with contacts. And so I do think that's already been an impact. I think in the future we might know more about how many concussions you should be allowed to have before you should be taken out for a season, say, or those sort of things. I think we already have some data that says if you have 3 concussions or more, you're much more likely to get CTE and cognitive deficits later on in your life.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll have final thoughts from our guests, so stay with us.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her so I could call and thank them. And she's doing fine. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
When you fall and cannot get up, an accident can turn into a tragedy. But with Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
Life Alert saves a person from a catastrophe every 10 minutes.
Life Alert is a lifesaver. If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-652-3012. That's 1-800-652-3012. Call now, 1-800-652-3012. For a free brochure, call 1-800-652-3012.
This is an important announcement. If you're between 50 and 85 and worried about your loved ones, you can still get affordable life insurance for peace of mind.
My life insurance coverage is guaranteed, and I was not required to get a medical exam.
I had high blood pressure and diabetes, and I got my coverage with one telephone call. No exam necessary.
I'm a smoker, and I wanted to take care of my family. I called to get my life insurance and my affairs in order. I wanted to do the right thing.
Call Final Expense No Exam Insurance. Your rates are guaranteed and will never increase.
I called and learned that this insurance cannot be canceled even if you get sick or gain weight.
And there are no restrictions on how my beneficiaries use the money when I'm gone.
Approval was easy and the price was right. I wanted to do this for my children.
Call 800-738-9812. 800-738-9812.
Enjoy some of the best Suncoast restaurants on me. Just go to mysuncoast.com/dining, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, and you can win a $50 gift card to a restaurant in our area. We'll pick a winner each week, so go on our website and sign up now.
High school football and head injuries are our guest joining us right now for final thoughts. So, Doctor, for the parents who are watching this conversation right now, who don't know what to do, what would you tell them?
I would say probably try to educate yourself. Find out what the statistics are and what the studies show. Maybe even talk to your doctor. You know, go talk to your physician about what the risks are. Talk to your high school athletic director and your trainers and other athletes about what the risks are. There is some risk there. I don't think people should just willy-nilly pull their kids out of high school sports. But you should be educated on it.
Pete, what is coming down the pike in terms of high school football? You talked about the protective pads, the training to tackle differently. What else are you folks talking about implementing that may even lessen the danger here?
Just caution, having doctors on our sideline for when there is an injury, protecting that child at all times. And with technology, we don't know what's coming down the road. You never thought you'd see these plastic helmets that we use in practice today. The cost is up there, hopefully, because it's a new technique, that the price will come down where other high schools can't afford it. But we're always looking for ways to protect those student athletes, to keep them safe, and to continue to play the game of football on Friday nights. And
Henry, in terms of retired NFL players like yourself, you see a lot of what your peers have been going through. Do you folks often talk about this? I would imagine there's a lot of uncertainty in your life.
There is. Yes, we do. We have I go up to Tampa to the Players Association meeting we have up there. It started a rate of alumni, and they bring them. We have to go out to camp at the end of the month, July, and this was this last weekend of July. And we had actually an informative meeting from the Players Trust, the NHL, the Legends, and Player Care. And a lot of very critical things came up. And the other part is that no one really knows the answer, but I feel that for the kids in high school and college, one thing that I do know is that it would help tremendously if these schools start having chiropractors and kinesiologists, and preferably one that is a chiropractor also and a kinesiologist on the sideline, as well as orthopedics. I know they frown on it, but it did wonders for me, and it actually saved my career. But it can do some great things that prevent the injury from getting worse, because they can fix a lot of things right then.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Gentlemen, thank you. The job market is on the rise on the Suncoast. Unemployment in the nation is at a 16-year low, with businesses booming in South County as well. Companies are hiring, but are they paying enough to live on? Mark says this is exactly what President Trump said would happen if he was elected. Guess what? It's happening. Michael says this must have included the construction companies from other states, staffed by workers from another country, making downtown great again. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation on tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/news@7. And FYI, you can watch past discussions. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. We want to thank all our guests for being here tonight. Henry Lawrence is a 3-time Super Bowl champion with the Oakland Raiders. I love saying that. Pete Dombrowski is the City of Venice's athletic director, and Dr. Dean Sutherland is a neurologist at Sarasota Memorial Hospital. I also like saying that. When we return, we'll have a final look at your first alert weather, plus we'll have more details on the car that plowed into dozens of innocent people in Spain. So stay with us.
Attention blood thinner users. If your loved one took Xarelto or Pradaxa and suffered serious internal bleeding, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. The widely prescribed blood thinners Xarelto and Pradaxa have been linked to a number of dangerous side effects, including internal bleeding, gastrointestinal bleeding, kidney bleeding, stroke, brain hemorrhaging, and even death. If you or a loved one suffered any of these injuries after taking Xarelto or Pradaxa, call right now. You may be owed significant compensation from the manufacturer. Thousands of blood thinner users may have been exposed to serious risk by these dangerous medications. If you or a loved one took Xarelto or Pradaxa and suffered serious internal bleeding, call right now. Call Nightline Legal to speak with an experienced attorney for a free consultation. If we don't win, there is no fee. There are time deadlines to file a claim, so don't wait. Call right now.
Call 1-800-554-3987. Again, that's 1-800-554-3987.
Call to see if you qualify to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan right now. At Humana, we believe great things are ahead of you when you start with healthy. And part of staying healthy means choosing the right Medicare plan. Humana can help. With Original Medicare, you're covered for hospital stays and doctor office visits when you're sick, but keep in mind you'll have to pay a deductible for each. A Medicare supplement plan can cover your deductibles and coinsurance, but you may pay higher premiums than you do with other plans, and prescription drug coverage isn't included. But with an all-in-one Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you could get all that coverage plus Part D prescription drug benefits, all for an affordable monthly plan premium, and in some areas, no plan premium. It's all described in this free book and DVD. Call for yours and discover how an all-in-one Medicare Advantage plan from Humana could save you money. Call 1-800-558-8779.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on our forecast from First Alert Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrity. Bob.
Well, it's going to be a nice sunset tonight, Alan. You can see a few clouds around. Always makes for a good sunset coming just after 8 o'clock. And it looks as though we will see a few showers popping back into the weather picture later on tonight. Now we have this dry air. We had this that we dealt with for the last 3 days. That's real dry air. That kind of shut things down for us on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then today, a little sliver of moisture made its way in. So we had a few showers today. But now this disk of dry air, it looks like we're going to catch this tail end. It's going to stick around for at least, I think, 24 hours, maybe even 36 hours. So they shut down a little bit tomorrow. More so on Saturday, and then they'll come back on Sunday with a vengeance as a result of some tropical air behind it. The showers and storms that were around earlier near the coast have dissipated, but we still see some moderate to heavy rainfall in the interior portions of our viewing area, especially now into Highlands County, and it looks like Wauchula getting some light rainfall. This is all light rain. It's headed in our general direction, so Manatee County, it's not over quite yet. We can still see some sprinkles tonight. There's some light rain occurring near Northport at this juncture. And the tops of these storms are not all that strong and all that impressive. They were at one point. They were up to 50,000 feet, but those have since spread out. And we're looking at some light rain over Manatee County. Rainfall totals were rather impressive. Right there along I-75 and University, estimates are up to 2 inches in some cases there. Lesser amounts as you move away from that little bullseye. And the current conditions, 86. The dew point temperature at 76. Makes it feel pretty hot out there, 96 degrees. The high today was 93. And the low was into the mid-70s where it's supposed to be. We had just over a half inch of rainfall at the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport. And as far as the forecast goes for Friday, we're calling for a few showers, just a few in the afternoon. Rain chance only at about 20%. That's it. It's all we can muster up due to that dry air. Now, that dry air is going to take a while to get in, so there may be a few coastal showers in the morning, but I don't think it's widespread. Now, this is Harvey. Get a look at this. This is Harvey. No concern to us. This one is looking more and more impressive. Already starting to see some banding features. I suspect that they'll jump this up coming up here pretty soon to possibly a tropical depression before long. The area of showers and storms you see here looks rather impressive. It's actually larger than what Harvey is, but there's no indication that this is going to develop. But this is what we're going to see Sunday. We're going to see this moisture kind of trailing this dry air on Sunday. So our rain chances will really increase Sunday afternoon, evening, and into Monday. Hopefully this whole mass of clouds and showers will be out of here in time for the eclipse on Monday. But right now we'll just say it looks to be okay at this point. Now, Harvey, the storm tracker, has it going off to the west. You know, Harvey storms or H storms, usually very weak. There haven't been any H storms. At least Harvey's been around since the inception of the hurricane names, 1979, which is a little unusual. The next storm is Irma. By the way, Irma, I storms are the most retired storms of all the named storms. So all the alphabet I storms are retired the most, and that means I storms are usually pretty intense. For boaters, a light chop out there. Seas running less than 2 feet, and winds will be very light, 5 knots. The extended forecast calling for a slight chance for showers on Saturday, increasing rain chances I mentioned on Sunday. Hopefully it clears out for the eclipse on Monday. And we'll be back with prime time headlines right after this. Stick around.
When you want to get away from it all, to a place where you can do everything, or nothing at all, surrounded by natural beauty and all the modern amenities you might desire, then you'll want to be here at the Wanna Be Inn on the beautiful shores of Manasota Key, Florida. To plan your escape, log on to wannabein.com.
I heard about the Detoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Detoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was and some additional cancers that were not found during the biopsy. I would recommend the Detoli Cancer Center. As a group of human beings, they are unbelievably great.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-628-1251, 800-628-1251.
Join the fun at the Weddings of Sarasota 17th Annual Wedding Show at the iconic Sarasota Municipal Auditorium on US 41. Sunday, August 27th from noon to 4. Enjoy food, fun, and entertainment with a runway show on stage at 3 p.m. $2,000 in Weddings of Sarasota dollars given out after the runway show. You must be present to win. Pre-register at weddingsofsarasota.com. Brides and grooms are free if registered by midnight on August 25th. Weddings of Sarasota. Register today.
Checking our primetime headlines, at least 13 people are dead and 80 injured in Spain after a van slams into a crowd of people in the heart of Barcelona. Police are calling it a terrorist attack. 2 people are in custody. Omar Jimenez has the latest.
Police and rescue squads rushing to the scene, searching for the terrorist. Dozens of people on the ground, victims of the ferocious attack, and those trying to help them. This was the horrific scene just moments after witnesses say a white van turned down Los Ramblas, a popular pedestrian walkway in the Catalan capital, jammed with restaurants, shops, and tourists from all over the world. According to eyewitnesses, the van raced along at close to 50 miles an hour, clearly targeting people for a third of a mile.
Es súper fuerte, tío. Niños y todo, tío. Madres y niños pequeños muertos en medio de las Ramblas.
All of a sudden there was this tidal wave of people
running towards us, and they were hysterical. It wasn't just a small number, it was a large number of people. Children were screaming. There was clearly a lot of distress.
The panicked rush for safety had local police at one point referring to a mass trampling. And it wasn't over yet. When the van finally crashed, other witnesses say 2 armed men jumped out. U.S. officials say local authorities believe the men were trying to reach a getaway vehicle, but instead ran into a restaurant.
The police were saying us that go away, there's like unarmed men, run away because here you cannot be here.
Amid the confusion, blood, shock, and suffering, a few witnesses reported hearing shots. And as police led some to safety, others were told they had to stay put and await evacuation, even as the investigation, the manhunt, and the agony roared around them.
President Trump was at it again with his tweets about Charlottesville and the removal of Confederate memorials, writing in part, "Sad to see the history and culture of our great country being ripped apart with the removal of our beautiful statues and monuments." There are roughly 1,500 Confederate symbols on public land today. SeaWorld San Diego says its 42-year-old killer whale, Kasaka, has died. SeaWorld says the female killer whale was euthanized Tuesday night. Kasaka is the 3rd orca to die at SeaWorld Marine Park this year. The company announced it would do away with its killer whale breeding program last year. They say everything is bigger in Texas, including high school football. The Caddy Public School District, just west of Houston, is dedicating its new $72 million stadium today. Legacy Stadium holds 12,000 people, and the school board even licensed out its naming rights to the complex. And Academy Sports and Outdoors has a 10-year contract worth $2.5 million. It is the most expensive high school stadium in the United States. Arnold Schwarzenegger is giving $100,000 to the Simon Wiesenthal Center. In doing so, the former California governor referenced the murder of Heather Heyer in Charlottesville as an act of domestic terrorism. Schwarzenegger paid tribute to her and the 2 Virginia state troopers killed in the helicopter crash Saturday. He called out white separatists, writing in part, quote, "There is no white America, there is only the United States of America." And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.